Good evening, dear friends. Today on Deep Talks, we are having a very, very special guest with us. He is none other than Vivek Atray, an ex-IAS mentor, columnist, professor, TEDx speaker, 8 times, and a motivational speaker. Along with it, I have my co-host welcoming and introducing Vivek Atray, Srishti. So welcome, Srishti, and I would love you to introduce Vivek Atray and let people know that who he is and the man who's done a lot of good work for the Tri-City, and not only the Tri-City, he's known across the globe for what he has done. So let's all celebrate Deep Talks conversations starting soon once Srishti is over with the introduction. And let's hear from all the viewers joining in and a lot of love, which is always there in every episode. Let's connect, Srishti. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to introduce our guest for tonight, Mr. Vivek Atray. Mr. Vivek Atray, ex-IAS, is a motivational speaker, author, mentor, advisor, columnist, and visiting professor. He resigned from the Indian Administrative Services (IAS) in 2017. He has 8 TEDx talks and 3 highly popular Josh talks. Over 30 lakh people have viewed his videos on YouTube. He is the founder of Suvichar think tank, visiting professor at Shulini University, member of the CSR Advisory Board of Action Aid. He is also a founder of the Vibrant Networking Forum, Playwright Foundation, Chandigarh Literary Society, and co-convener of Intact Chandigarh. He is a member of the Governor's Advisory Council for Chandigarh UT. He addresses audiences from industry, academia, government on the nuances of leadership, good governance, emotional intelligence, life skills, people skills, public speaking skills, meditation, calmness, entrepreneurship, education, and sports management. He has inspired thousands of youngsters to adopt a cheerful, positive, and multidimensional approach to their lives. Mr. Vivek Atray is an acclaimed orator and has spoken in India and abroad at events of Horizons, NASSCOM, CII, TIE, NCGG, LBSNAA, IIFT, ISB, universities, colleges, schools, and private companies. His novels are Move On Bunny and Dubeji Bounces Back. He writes a fortnightly column, Random Forays, for the Hindustan Times. His new book is Finding Success Within 52 Life Skills for Young Indians. As director,
So I think basically there is a
tourism.
technical, yeah.
He was quoted by the New York Times and the Observer of UK during this period. As DC Panchkula, he initiated projects such as Aadar Samman, Respect for the Elderly. He was advisory KPMG and PwC on a 2-year sabbatical from government. He organizes the annual All India J.P. Atray cricket tournament since 1992. Mr. Vivek himself was an under-19 cricketer at the national level. He is an electronics engineer from NIT Kurukshetra. He has a diploma in French. His favorite book is The Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramhans Yogananda. I would now like to request Gurleen ma'am to host sir, and I shall take a leave to be back and monitoring the conversation as Communication Connect. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Srishti. Thanks a lot. And a very, very warm welcome to Vivek Atray, sir. It
Thank
is
you.
an
Thank you
honor
very
for
much
us.
for the introduction.
Yeah,
Thank
it's an
you.
honor for us to have you and take out your precious time for this venture of mine, Deep Talks. So, sir, I would love to know that apart from holding this post as an IS officer, which achievement of yours has always been very close to your life and that you would love to share on this platform? Because I can see a lot many tags in your professional role, and I believe that holding special to being an ex-IS officer, you are doing very well and exceptionally well as a motivational speaker. So what inspired you to be a motivational speaker apart from being an IS officer? And what was the seed of connect that made you feel that, okay, this, after holding this post, I would be the one who would be, kind of instilling the faith and the confidence in the people around, and always being the mentor, that if people are looking out for some kind of issues, I could be the one guiding people. So was it that it was because you were an IAS it becomes easy for you to be a motivational speaker, or was it something different?
Yeah, thank you, Gurleen ma'am, for inviting me here, and it's a pleasure for me to be on your show. I think you said the right thing. Apart from being an IAS officer, the main thing that I feel happy about is being a writer and motivational speaker. Motivational writing, motivational speaking, trying to instill positivity in the society, trying to get people out of their shell and their negativity, their depression, their cynicism. That's what I do the most. And that is why everybody who in the IS doesn't become a motivational speaker. So it's not that only the IS gave that kind of chance, but I was speaking in a motivational way even as an IS officer. I had two TEDx talks in service, and the rest of my six TEDx talks are after I took VRS about 3 years ago. So
Wow.
after my voluntary retirement from the IAS, I have been full time as a speaker, as a writer, as an advisor, and as even a mentor to lots of young people. So I think I have built up a kind of identity in the online world, which is that I speak about positive thinking, about not overthinking, not getting into a mindset of cynicism, complaining, and cribbing and bickering and that kind of thing. As
True.
opposed to that, I advocate things like calmness, cheerfulness, creativity, compassion,
Wow.
good things that should be there in youngsters, especially. So that's my
True.
aim.
True, that is wonderfully stated by you that, being an IS officer has not stopped you from being who you are today. Because apart from the achievements people hold, I have hosted this show letting people know that apart from the achievements, they are a human being. And we all have to give back to the world in a way where there is the milk of human kindness flowing in. So, do you
Yes.
agree that holding such kind of post also becomes a little difficult for prioritizing your work and also looking into the personal life wherein people lose the grip of holding such high posts and not managing a great healthy relationship? So what's your advice and take on being an IS and holding such kind of roles wherein I'm sure that you are keeping your orderly organized priorities set right? So some tips for the people who are watching us to keep their lives in a way where they are organized, because I believe that a lot goes into making of an IS officer. And some tips that if there are ones who aspirants who are becoming an IS or are wanting to appear for the same, that would be wonderful for deep talks to be there. I mean, I would request you to share some great tips, because I believe that holding such a post is enormous and it is magnificent in itself, and it's not an easy way out there.
Yeah, so you're right. So there are so many things that a person does. Everybody has a career, a family, a pastime, a hobby. Everybody should have a multi-dimensional life. It cannot be
True.
unidimensional. So a
True.
human being is a human being. Even if he becomes the prime minister, he's still first a human being, then the prime minister. Or at least that should be the case. But the point
Very
is that we have to understand balance is the key. So if I'm an IAS officer, and I basically have to see that my family is also getting enough time from me. My relationships are getting enough time and patient hearing, and I have to be in that understanding kind of relationship, even if I'm the busiest person in the world. Even if I'm the
true.
busiest, you look at Barack Obama. I always take his
Wow.
example. He was the president of the United States. I don't speak of
True.
the current people. But the point
True.
is that Obama, he could balance his life. He was a family man. He had two daughters. They grew up significantly during those 8 years when he was president. They became
True.
from virtually toddlers to young teenagers or whatever. And you could see that the upbringing of these children is perfect. Not only him, of course, Michelle Obama had a great role to play. And both of them were able to really, really bring out these best qualities in their kids. So I think it is very important to balance your life. And balancing your life basically means that you give enough time to everything, you prioritize, you don't give time to insignificant things, which is disproportionate time. So basically, you don't get into things like, that socializing. It takes away 90% of your time. Then you're not doing anything for your family and you're not
True.
focusing on self development. I would like to add one more point on this question. Self development means that I'm focusing on my mental, physical, and spiritual fitness. I need to be a healthy thinker, a healthy human
True.
being as a body, mind, and soul. Then only I'm
True.
going to go ahead in life. And then only I'm going to give the right signals to society. So if I'm a bitter person or I'm a too busy person or I'm a irritable kind of person, then I'm not giving the right vibrations. So my job is not only a motivational speaker doesn't is not the only person who has to be positive and creative and talking like this. Everybody needs to think like this. That's very important.
That's wonderfully stated by you, Vivek Atray, that self-development somewhere and priorities to be set right, and then one has to manage the professional and personal balance somewhere. And it's important and significant even to, understand the difference between having a space between your personal and professional sphere where people get lost. So I would love to welcome our viewers. Anjana Rajal has said, I'm a big fan of Sir, and absolutely true, Sir. Self-development is priority. I welcome Gurdev, who's just mentioned that great job, my sister Gurleen. Thanks a lot for joining us because that makes this episode even more special to hold such a beautiful soul out there working for the country, for the globe at large. So, Sir, I would love to ask you that. As a motivational speaker, you must have given a speech somewhere which has touched your heart and moved your mind, where from the crowd, if there was some person who actually walked up to you and said something that actually moved you to pieces. Was there any episodes, or I'm sure that there would be one which touched your heart or moved you even more further to be that kind of a motivational speaker and mention his or her scenario somewhere in the coming talks, whether it was TEDx or something. I would love to know one such experience of your giving a talk and remembering such an episode.
Yes, I can give you one example, but before that, I'll give you two quick examples which were similar. The first one was when I addressed about 500 doctors at the PGI hospital. And
Wow.
there I could see that these people, they were to be given a talk on motivation, on calmness, and all of them spend about 14 to 15 hours working in the hospital a day. And after 14 hours or 13 hours, a person is so tired and exhausted, anybody, a human being,
True.
that he cannot possibly or she cannot possibly give justice to that job because the patient who is being attended, that patient is not at fault that the doctor is exhausted. Yet these
True.
people give so much of care and pain. So I was giving them so much encouragement. I could hear from their stories, from their incidents, that they were really under a lot of duress. And now, with COVID, luckily I was able to appear on a couple of television channels,
Wow.
also praising the doctors, how much
Yes.
they have given of theirs. So that was one. The second was a case where a boy, he actually said that I found that very, in fact, shocking for me for a minute. He said it wasn't a big thing, but he said, my parents keep comparing me to others and I
Oh,
keep feeling depressed. So he
true.
stood up in front of 500 boys in a boys' school. In fact, my own school, St. John's High School, where I was studying long ago. So I went as a speaker and I found that this boy was asking this question. So I said, your parents, they care for you, they love you, but their methods may be wrong at times, right? You have to
True.
understand, you're a bright 13-year-old in class 8. You have to understand that
True.
you cannot get the best of relationships with even your parents. They are also human beings. At times they will shout at you. At times they will really get very, very, upset with you. But you really have to try and be balanced yourself. Understand that even if they compare you with others, they mean well. They want to egg you on to do better and better. So don't be under pressure.
True.
Now, 500 boys were watching. I had to give the right answer at that moment because each one of them
True.
goes through the similar exercise or similar tensions.
Exactly.
Today, the kids in 10th, 11th, 12th are so much under stress because their parents, the society wants them to be, all want to be IAS, IIT, IIM, all these I's are there, but these I's are not possible for everybody. Even the Indian cricket team, only 11 people can play at one match. So
Yes.
everybody who is second best, third best, fourth best, fifth best is still a good human being. There's nothing wrong with
Very
that
right.
person. So
Very
I,
right.
I want to encourage them, and I keep saying that. And whenever I come across someone who has been through depression or been through feeling
Yes.
low, and I have
Yes.
been able to help them out, then I feel very moved, like you said. Yes.
Yes, it's wonderful. It's fantastic to hear from you that you encourage people who even come second, third somewhere. My dear viewers who have joined us, Anjana Rajal, every individual is unique, she stated, and has own quality. That's fantastically well said, Anjana. Rasu, thanks a lot for joining in. He says, fabulous and fantastic. Well said. Many good facts. Thanks a lot there. for joining us, because I believe that these are the souls who are actually learning to have the wisdom to be shared with the knowledge which we are sharing on the screen on Deep Talks. And I feel that none could do the justice but an ex-IAS officer, mentor, columnist, and a visiting professor. So may I ask you, Vivek Atray, that apart from being a great ex-IAS officer, how did you venture into the cricket, and what made you go deep down there? Because I have seen that physical exercise is really very important to maintain certain kind of mental health wellness as well, which I keep letting people know that you have to pursue your passion as well. So somewhere I see that maybe you were passionate about cricket, or we would love to know that, and your fans would love to know what made you join cricket as well and start a venture regarding the cricket as well.
In fact, you're right to ask me this question because even today, my column, which is going to appear in the Hindustan Times tomorrow, I wrote that piece today. It will
Wow.
appear tomorrow in the newspaper. So every fortnight, every 2 weeks, it comes in the newspaper for the last 4 years. Today, I focused on the fact that sports is so important to understand life. You see, in a sporting event like cricket or hockey or football, one team is
True.
going to lose and one is going to win. In
Yes.
life, also, sometimes we lose, sometimes we win.
True.
Those who are sports persons, they understand life a little better because losses and wins are part of their life. But those
Fantastic.
who have
Well,
never played, yeah,
yeah.
because anyone who has not played a sport or is not in love with any sport or doesn't follow a sport will not understand why he has lost today. Why is life beating me down?
True.
Whereas a sports person knows, especially in cricket, you know that within 2 hours the match can change to the other way. So I have
Very
a lot of love for cricket and tennis and football, and I follow a lot of sports. I'm inspired by sports persons. But I was involved in cricket from the childhood. I used to be a cricketer. I was under 19 at the national level. I played the Sikh and Idu tournament twice, and I
wow.
was very much a player. But when I got into engineering, then I realized that I'm not going to be able to play cricket at a higher level, which I wanted to. So you asked me in the beginning, was there any moment when you were feeling sad about your life? That was the point when I was also 18 years old and I was quite shattered that now I realized that now I cannot play for India. It was my dream. I have to do engineering, and engineering in Kurukshetra meant that I could not play cricket in Chandigarh under my coach, Mr. D.P. Azad, who was Kapil Dev's coach, Chetan Sharma's coach. I used to play there. So then I realized, and it was a shattering moment for me to go from cricket to engineering. But
True.
ultimately, life turns out okay, and I came through it, and I was okay.
Wow, wow, that is a supreme passion for cricket, and that's great. That's fantastic. Well, and I have heard that you have written books, so we would love to know that what inspired you to start thinking your thoughts in the realms where you have written books, and what are the titles of the book? Our viewers would love to know, because somewhere I feel that being an author myself, it takes a lot to just ink your thoughts and be well respected and well admired for what your thoughts are, because somewhere I believe they become eternal, and somewhere if you're not even there in the public places, you are actually inking love into the hearts of the audience who's reading it, the readers, the avid readers. They, when they read the story that is real life stories or whether it's fiction, there is something that everybody has a takeaway from the stories. So what inspired you to write those books, and what are the titles of the book? People would love to know. And as a writer, as an author, how has your journey shaped up, and was your writing experience much more pleasurable, or was it something that more emotional? I would love to ask you that, because in my life I think I'm a woman of substance. I call myself that because I inked my own personal stories, so it's an open book now on International Corners, Breakdown to Wake Up, curated by Jocelyn. And I'm the only Indian amongst 14 foreigners to ink my story and grab a space there, talking about a man in the uniform, where I'm passing a message to the globe that it's not necessary that an officer can be a good husband. Sometimes we need to realize that, and it's not bad to expose yourself when it is all about the country honor. It is about a message to the girls, because somewhere young girls get swayed by the uniforms very easily. So I need to let the public know, being a psychologist, that somewhere you don't need to have toxicated relationships, you don't have to subjugate to being a doormat, and you have to speak and voice out and have your own identity. So I would love to know from your end what made you write those books and what are the titles of the book. So our viewers would love to know from your end what are the tips for writing well, and how can one become a great writer?
Yeah, writing is an important part of my life, and I feel that speaking as well as writing, both of them are my roles now, which I feel that I will be able to make people more inspired if I keep writing well and speaking well. So
True.
I'll start from my latest book, and then I'll go to backwards to my last first book. So my
True.
fourth book is coming out now. This is called "It's a Wonderful Life." You see, we are talking about motivation, and today I must announce that it is called "It's a Wonderful Life." It's coming next month. It is a
Wow.
collection of 120 of my articles, which have appeared in the Hindustan Times in the last 4 years.
Great.
And all of them are motivational, all of them are worth reading for motivation. And It's a Wonderful Life was preceded. Last year, I wrote a book called Finding Success Within. That book has also done very well. It is 52 life skills for young people and
Wow.
finding success. How does success come to us? What is success?
True.
And I give the basic premise in that is that success is not a car or a house or a bit of money. It is basically your inner peace, your happiness, your feeling from within. So until and unless you have respect, goodwill, happiness, what is the point of being rich or famous? So that's
Exactly.
the basic premise in that book. These were the two latest books, and before that, I wrote two funny novels, which were about a young man on the move. That was called Move On Bunny, and the second
Wow.
one was called Dubeji Bounces Back. So if anybody
That's
searches
wonderful.
Vivek Atray on Amazon or YouTube or Instagram, you'll find me and you'll find my books.
So, what inspired you to give the title Dubeji Bounces Back? I'm sure that there must have been some kind of an experience that you would love to share. There's some little snippet about it because it's a very funny title, Dubeji Bounces Back. So it
Yeah,
has to be
so
really
actually, yeah, so basically, I feel that I started writing motivation there, but it was a little comedy also because Dubey ji was
okay.
actually a youngster in that book. He was only 26-year-old. His name was Raghav Dubey. But his friends in the college, college or university, when he was in college, university, and he got a job in the bank, they used to call him Dubey ji just to tease him. Somebody
True.
calling somebody Dubey ji, Chaubey ji, Agarwal ji, just to, tease the person. So that Dubeji became his name. And he was a very shy boy to start with and very, very, uncertain about his life. But when life gave him jolts and knocks and difficulties, he actually bounced back each time and he became much stronger. He became an achiever. So, in his job as well as his love life, his personal life, he started doing really well. He found the girl of his dreams, the job of his dreams. He became successful. So, I tried to show through the book that you may be down and out or you may be an underachiever, but you can always
True.
bounce back in life and you have to keep bouncing back. That's the
True.
reason.
Oh, wonderful. So if you're given an opportunity to be the president of India, what would be the first thing that you would change in the system, or there's some laws that you would reframe for betterment of the globe? I mean, I would love to hear from you because that's a very, very tricky question that I've asked, and it's personal, each to his own. But then there's something that we would love to hear from you because somewhere I think that is what people confess when they come on Deep Talk, some real things that work good for the globe at large. So, what would be that thing that will come into your mind when you are crowned the president of India?
Of course, in our system, the president is not the most powerful person. As you know, the prime minister
Yeah,
carries all the
prime minister can
executive
veto. Yeah,
powers, but the
true.
president is the head of state. So either president or prime minister, I think each of them basically have to ensure in going forward that if I am there or anyone is there, the point is that we have to take India's values, culture, tradition forward while adopting modernity and
True.
technology and artificial intelligence and machine learning and all the modern developments. We have to balance the two: India's
True.
cultural strengths and India's traditional family values strengths, along with modern life, modern infrastructure, better lives for all the common people of India. I think the
True.
ladies, the girls need
True.
parity with the boys. There needs to be a lot of parity. There needs to be all equal opportunity. So these are the
True.
things that should be the priorities of India. The common poor man should have a more comfortable life than he or she is leading. That should be the priority.
That's wonderful. That's really wonderful that you have stated about the common men and the girls. I'm sure the viewers who have joined us, Anjana Rajal has stated that success is internal, it's nothing to do with external. Absolutely true, sir. Failure plays an important role in life. It gives you more experience and makes you more strong and confident. Very right, Anjana. Ashu has joined us and says hello to you. Glad to hear you again, Vivek, sir. That's
Hello,
fabulous.
hello to
And the
all.
people who are joining in, I am sharing all my unconditional love to all of you. Because of you, we are there. And I'm sure that being an orator, Vivek Atray is doing an excellent job, and so am I, reaching out to people to make them feel that they are not alone in their journey, and we all walk our own journey. We need not compare ourselves to others, but create our own identity. And stating this, I would love to know, how do you place psychologists in the modern world, and do you think in India they are underrated or overrated, and how important it is to be having assistance from someone if your issues are not resolved within the family, or how would you suggest the viewers to get to the counselors so that they know the value of it? And somewhere people don't even know in India that what is the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist. So where in foreign countries people value them a lot because the depression rate is so high. But in India as well, youngsters, those who have fallen into drugs and substance abuse, alcohol and everything, I believe that it stands a chance for people to know from us that people like me and people like others who are doing the country honor by serving the mental health issues, they should not be, there should not be a stigma, or there should not be, the mental health issue should not be a taboo anymore. So that's the reason why I started this, because it's an open talk forum wherein people come and they feel like a catharsis feeling, where they can express themselves on every area of life, whether it's sex, sensuality, or anything. Because I believe there's a lot of conversation gap within the families where parents do not talk to their kids and they end up doing something bad. And why to repent in the later stages of life than to start in the beginning and instill that kind of a wisdom in the kids? So what is your take on the psychologists, and how should they be accessible to the public? Some kind of tips for the followers who are following you and the viewers who are watching us tonight.
I think you're absolutely right. You see, in earlier times, people used to live very simple lives. There was no technology, no social media, no pressure. If a villager living in, let's say, the hinterland of Himachal Pradesh, he would grow up, he would have a healthy life, he would pass away
True,
also. He never felt any pressure. Maybe the
true,
poverty was the only thing at times.
true,
Today, each individual is under spotlight, under pressure of rivalry, of competition, of everything, relationships. It
true,
depends on how you take it. But in my
true,
view, psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, and even family mentors or
true,
mentors of others are all very vital in the context. You see, the
true,
pandemic has led to a lot more depression cases. There have been
true,
cases of domestic violence. There have been cases of thinking, people getting into unnecessary depression when they were fine also, because they have been
true,
thinking and thinking and thinking. And then this bombardment of TV news and social media, which is quite negative at times. So I
true,
think we need four levels, as I said. First is the family or friend counselor. Second is a professional counselor. Third is a psychologist, and fourth is a psychiatrist. So we go up
true,
the ladder that way, or we have different people needing different kinds of counseling. I think I
true,
have been mentoring a lot of youth who have been under competition stress, career stress, parental
true,
pressure. I
true.
have I can tell you, I can, without being immodest, I have a Josh talk which has about 20 lakh views, 2 million views on
That's
YouTube.
wonderful.
Yeah,
That's
and
wonderful.
that Josh talk has UPSC aspirants, IAS aspirants from all over India. They write on that talk comments that, sir, today I was so depressed. And then I
True,
saw your video and I have, come out of that depression. So I am doing my bit as a motivational speaker. You are doing your bit by holding these talks and sessions. There are people who are doing their bit in little ways. Even an elder brother who is counseling his sister, or an elder sister
true,
counseling her brother or sister, is doing their job. We all need to pool our efforts and make the world a happier place in that.
True. So I have got from your answer some curious question in there. So you said sometimes media is negative. So I would love to know that how is media playing a great role in shaping our lives these days? Because I believe we are, we are seen because of the media, and media is definitely playing a big role in gaining an edge over the fact that if we are seen in the right angle, we would be reaching out to those people, whether they are far off from us. Like maybe I haven't met someone and I'm reaching across the globe by holding the virtual stage shows and all that stuff. And I feel that media somewhere is doing it a bit. But do you believe that, being addicted to the social applications, like, they kind of, astray people from being in the real world? So I totally believe that they have to have a balance again there in spending their time on the social applications and seeing where what happens in the media, that they should not just take everything what is coming in media as something that's real enough. So do you really believe that media does play a major role in shaping an individual in modern times?
Yeah, it does. Before I answer that question, I see that earlier your comments were coming from all the people whose name started with A. I saw
Yeah.
Anjana, I saw Ashu, I saw another A, Arusa, I think. And now I
Yes.
find that the J and the G have also come. I can see the comments on the right side. So I'm
True.
happy to see so many of these young people, and sorry to say, but maybe some of them not so young also. But happy to
True.
see you all. And that's only on the lighter side. But the media basically has a role to inform, educate, right?
True.
Now, the
True.
entertain also to some extent. The
True.
media's role is not to disturb people, but the
Yes.
media has started, unfortunately, one-upmanship, TRP ratings, this, that,
Yes.
especially the electronic media, they have become worse because their job has become to sensationalize things and criminalize certain people who may be normal people only. How
True.
can they decide whether a person is a criminal until that person is tried and hanged or whatever it is? The
True.
point is that media should not overreach. The media has to
True.
remain balanced again. And people
True.
try to sensationalize issues and they
True.
impact the mood of the nation. There are
True.
people who watch the TV news expecting that the TV guys know very well what is right and what is wrong. So my
True.
mother-in-law or somebody's sister or some brother will think कि ये तो बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं. Whereas
Bilkul.
we know as administrators or former whatever, we know that this guy is just creating a hullabaloo and trying to make people
True.
watch more of his
Love.
channel.
True.
Yeah, sensationalize things and create
True.
scandals out of nothing. So I think
True.
the media has to be really, really, try to temper its behavior, try to be balanced, try to be objective instead of being subjective. And I
True.
think newspapers are still doing okay, except
Yes.
some newspapers. Most newspapers are okay. The electronic
Yes.
media needs to get its act together. And social media is a free for all. So there are people on Twitter whose job it is to create negativity in the country. They could be from across the border or somewhere else. They could be from within India also. And they may be
True.
creating negativity only as a kind of campaign. Whereas
Campaign.
there are people whose job it is to create criticism of a particular party or a particular person or whatever it is. They are also
True.
at it. Very few
True.
people will actually comment in a positive way, happy way, constructive way, share good things. That is where you, I, and others on this show should contribute to society by sharing only constructive, creative kinds of news and posts.
True. So, sir, I would love to know, because you are 8 times TEDx speaker. So, how can people conquer their fear to come on the stage? Some tips that you can share, the ones who are wanting to be great orators and speakers, because it definitely takes a lot. Sometimes people ask me, you make the people very comfortable when they're on the love seat with you on deep talks. So, how does that happen? Because people are still anxiety stricken sometimes, and they need to go to the deep root cause of finding out what is hampering their growth on coming on the stage in front of the audience. So do you believe that it's really important to be a great orator, to be the voice of the nation at large, or of the globe at large? Because I do believe that in the modern world, if you're not placing your priorities right, and if you're not voicing out what you really need, you're losing an identity in the long run, wherein you could miss out a chance to be a really very happy and healthy person. And I do
Yeah, yeah.
believe that I have an episode wherein I was an introvert, and in the college in GCG, where this professor Ritinder Kohli, she stated to me once that if you cannot make out in the group of 60 girls, then you cannot make out in the open at large, being an MBA aspirant or something. You need to be there to go for a longer run. So prepare yourself for the worst, but start taking initiative and start talking and reading out loud. So that made the move in my mind. And when I was fighting my divorce battle, I realized why she mentioned that time that if you cannot fight out amongst these souls, then how would you fight for your own life? So that thing inspired me to a level, and I believe that my court and justice to what I am today is all because of Ritinder Kohli. And somewhere professors shape up the real spice of your life when you sit back and think that education really matters, but if it is implied in the right direction, then only can you become something who you are today. And riches don't matter, but if you have the education, you can actually still earn a lot of money, and that's a byproduct. So what is your take on it, and how can you share the tips to become great orator?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question. Perhaps we are nearing the end of the time also, but I would
True.
really like to share these tips. I'll give you three tips here today. And by chance, it's just a coincidence that on Monday at 5 p.m., IST,
True.
Indian Standard Time, on Monday, that is the 18th, I
True.
have a program live on YouTube and LinkedIn on my own channel where
Wonderful.
I'm going to speak on public speaking itself, how you can
Wonderful.
be a better public speaker. So you all can join that also. But here I'll give you three tips. The
Wonderful.
first tip is that stage fright will go away with practice. You have to
True.
practice, practice, practice. If I am speaking confidently before a camera or before a stage, before an
True.
audience, it is
True.
because I've done it 100 times. The first
True.
time even I was nervous. You were nervous.
True.
Anybody would be nervous. We are human
True.
beings. So the
Yes.
more you practice before a camera or before you make your brother sister sit down, I tell young people, give them a chocolate later, but unko bolo, listen to my speech. So just practice. Second point is be yourself on stage. Don't try to be Amitabh Bachchan or Madhuri Dixit or Virat Kohli or Anushka or whoever. You are who you are. Just
True.
don't try to put on an act. Speak normally, natural. Number
True.
three, prepare well, content wise. I know what I'm going to say in response to each of your questions because I have practice, I have content, I have that storehouse with me. But if I
True.
am a newbie, I have to have it in notes or somewhere in my phone. I have to have it written over there and prepare well. So when I look at my points, I remember that I've forgotten this one, I should look at that and whatever. So these three tips I can give for now. And always spread positivity. Never give, a speech which leads people to feel worse than they were feeling before. Your job is to make people feel better. And even if you're not going to change the world in your own little way, in your own little presentation, always leave a positive, happy impact. Very important.
That's so well stated by you, Vivek Atray, and I really feel honored and privileged to have you on my show and taking out this precious time from your priority schedules and coming on a weekend is really very fantastic for me and the viewers who have joined us. And I'm sure the viewers who are listening to Vivek Atray, he's mentioned, a few of the links where you can just go and dive down and listen to the tips that he'll be offering. And please read his columns because that's important, because you can learn from anyone's soul can teach many more things. And learning is an eternal process. It can grow from any corner at any age, at any season, any phase. So Ms. Gurleen, globally acknowledged soul, a psychologist, a former model speaker who's hosting Vivek Atray, is very happy to have him on the love seat because it takes a lot. It takes a lot of courage, great wisdom to be here, and then speaking about your own personal life and sharing few of the tips that are free and not costing anything, but it might shape up someone's life. So, before leaving this conversation, Vivek Atray, I would love to ask you one last question: that do you think passion has a lot to do with the profession? And if one has a lot of passion for something, one should make it their profession. And a
Yeah, I
message for
think
the
passion is everything. I don't think you can have a profession where your heart is not involved. You have to have your heart and soul in that. Anybody who's working with dedication and passion will do a job which is much better than anyone who's working zabardasti or through drudgery. So yeah, I can take a horse to water, but I can't make the horse drink. The horse has to want to drink. And it's very, very important that we instill that motivation, inspiration, passion in youngsters. If they love their work, they will do very, very well. And I'm sure that we can make a better future. Thank you.
wonderful, wonderful. That is wonderfully stated by Vivek Atray. And the last message, treasure tip for all the viewers who are there connected to you, your fans, and the message to the host, so that I carry on with deep talks and holding special souls like you.
Thank you for inviting me, and it's been wonderful to be on Deep Talks. I think you are doing a good job by spreading positive thinking. Love is a word which makes the world go round. It's very, very important that we talk of such subjects. We should not talk of problems only, we should talk of solutions, and I think you're doing that. So, thanks for connecting, and all the people who have been watching this program, I congratulate them also for being a part of this community. And then I'm also available on social media. You can find me on Instagram or LinkedIn and connect, and let's be in touch, and let's keep on changing the world to be a better place. Thank you very much, ma'am, for inviting me.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.